Please join me in thanking Denny Griffith for coming here today and being our opening speaker. But we do need your help with one thing, Mr. Griffith. You need to be appropriately attired today.
Yay.
So we'd like you to have one of our tickets. Thanks, Denny.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So I'm going to get started here with a little promo video for CCAD. This is the video that we like to show students like you who are just trying to figure out what CCAD is, what the job is that we do. So, Scott, if you can run that video, then I'll have some comments to make. Okay, so the question about Earth and art and why should we care? I think Earth without art would be Mars. Think about it. Through the entire course of human history, the way that we know people, cultures, whole civilizations that have gone before ours is through their art. It's the stuff that we leave behind. It's the stuff that human beings make to try to understand their relationship to this world and the next world. You know, you think about the way that artists have, in cultures, whether they're Western European cultures or African cultures or Polynesian cultures, you know, throughout human history, if we want to really understand what people were up to, we look for the art and artifacts that they leave behind. The architecture, the dwellings, the writing, the music. So often we think about the way in which African cultures were deemed to be primitive, and they're anything but. They're some of the most sophisticated culture on the face of the planet, and we can see the influence of their understanding, their efforts to understand their own lives and their belief in the way the world works and the way the next world might work is all reflected in the objects that people leave behind. And so I actually, as you might guess, as the president of an art and design college and a maker of things myself as a painter, I really think that this stuff is really important. What's the first decision that most of you guys made this morning? Anybody just can, like, shout it out?
What to wear.
Exactly, what to wear. So I would suggest to you that the very first significant decision you make in the morning is an aesthetic decision. And that aesthetic decision is driven by cultural norms. It's driven by style and fashion. It's probably influenced by music, by movie people that you admire, by sports figures that you admire, and all that stuff is the stuff that really basically shapes what it means to be a human being. So, so what does this have to do with CCAD, and what does this have to do with this day? Well, we're a place that exists to distinctively and powerfully help people just like you go out and shape culture. A lot of folks in town say, oh yeah, CCAD, the art studio. And they really don't understand that art and design actually shapes culture. That art and design, if you're going to start a business, what's one of the first things you might need to take your product to market?
Logo.
Somebody said logo, that's good. Somebody else said website, exactly right. So website, logo, business cards, stationery, or the product itself. If you think about the fact that someone, if you've got the idea for a great medical device, you're coming out of Tech Columbus, you know, you've got a great idea, you've written a business plan, you think about taking it to market. What do you need to get that stuff out there? The stuff that communicates what this object is about. And so it turns out that Earth without art is Mars. There's no people, there's no product, there's no built environment, there's no record of history and culture. So I really, truly believe that this stuff is absolutely central to everything that goes on. And I wouldn't, of course, you know, my job is to talk about art and design, but let's keep this conversation today in the context of the broadest possible array of artistic endeavors. I got to tell you guys, I truly believe that next to sacred pursuits, art and design is the best, and the cultural arts in general are the best reflection of the pursuit of human excellence. The best reflection of the pursuit of human excellence. It's how we know when people have gone on to great things. Oh, you can include athletics in that, I think, too. All right, so sacred and secular kind of come together there. So this, it turns out that ArtsMania, this day, which is like going to be a whole lot of fun for you guys because you get to do some things that you might not normally do. It really, I think, turns out to be really, really important. And understanding visual culture then becomes a kind of a survival skill, I think. In the 21st century, when we have access to as much visual information as we do through the web, through mass media, and through entertainment media, if you are unable or unprepared to decode the messages that are delivered to you through those vehicles, people can sell you stuff that you never intended to buy because you're not adept at figuring out what the cultural context is for the messages that are coming to you. So I'm here to tell you that I think next to actual literacy, visual literacy is one of the most important things that you can develop. And the fact of the matter is, you guys all have it in spades, way more than my generation, because you're digital natives. Your whole lives, you've had digital technologies at your disposal. You know, when I was your age, there were computers, but they were coal-fired. So, you know, that was a different epoch. At CCAD, we prepare, students come to us mostly out of high school art programs like the one that you have. And what we find is that a lot of students really don't realize the number of options that they have to follow their creative instinct and take it, basically sculpt that into a life that they could live successfully in terms of vocation. So what do I mean by that? If you're an art student, you're learning how to draw, you're learning how to look at the world around you, and so many business people that I run into in town say, I can't draw and I could never draw, and that's nonsense because I can teach anybody to draw. Drawing isn't about this, it's about looking. It's about the ability to see and to measure and to notice detail. And because you guys are digital natives and because you guys live in a visual world and you get so much information from your phone and your laptop and your television, you guys are more visually attuned than anybody that's ever lived. So this is a really interesting time for you to think about what kinds of messages are being delivered to me. What are the values that are embedded in those messages? What are people trying to get me to do through this constant barrage of information that I'm getting from my phone and my laptop and the website I'm looking at and the television set and the movie that I see? At CCAD, we train people to go out and become expert deliverers of that content. So we're really a college that's all about visual communication. And also about design, because we design furniture, we design clothing, but we put people, the little video that you just saw had a whole bunch of corporate logos running along behind it. Those are all places that CCAD alumni work. So we've got folks that work at Pixar, that work in Industrial Light and Magic. They work with George Lucas, they work with Tommy Hilfiger, they work at Black & Decker, they work at Victoria's Secret. As you can imagine, we've got a ton of people right across, more or less across the street from you guys. Abercrombie & Fitch, Victoria's Secret, Bath & Body Works, Henry Bendel, the list goes on and on. They, our students, 7% of our student body are international students, so we've got kids from China, from Somalia. We've got one student this year from Cuba, and just thinking about that kid getting out of Cuba to come to CCAD to study. I guess the part of the message I want to leave with you is, you folks, even those of you who go off to school you'll all go off to school, but those of you who leave Columbus and go to university or college someplace and end up living a portion of your life in London or Lisbon or New York or Chillicothe, you're going to end up coming back here. You folks are the folks that are going to end up, in a sense, inheriting Columbus, Ohio. And it's really important for you to understand that here in Columbus, Ohio, we have one of the finest art and design colleges in the world. So someday you're going to inherit this city. And someday you're going to have both the opportunity and I believe the responsibility to continue to nurture the city the way the people of my generation are trying to do it now. You know, if you read the paper or you check it out online, you know that this is our bicentennial year. You know that Columbus is celebrating 200 years, and most of the programming this year is just about lifting up and promoting the things that are already going on in our community right now. The culture, the scientific research, the medical advancements, the redevelopment of downtown, the sense that this is a robust and vital and really interesting and frankly fairly hip place to be is something you can't really know unless you've traveled a lot and been to a lot of other cities. And I know some of you had the opportunity to do that. I often talk with students in high schools that frankly don't have the resources that this extraordinary institution of yours has. So I know you guys have had a chance to travel. This is an amazing place. And the thing that makes Columbus, I think, so amazing is that it's big enough that it's rich and it's textured and it's complicated and it's challenging and it's small enough that every single one of you in the room can make a difference here. Every single one of you in this room can leverage your capacity as an individual to shape Central Ohio. You may be able to, you may be powerful and gifted enough that you can end up in a place like New York or New Delhi and actually shape a city of that extraordinary magnitude. But Columbus is actually has this kind of rich, yeasty mix of people that care about it, and it's yet small enough that you can actually get out there and become somebody and make a real difference. So you guys are like seriously lucky, which is really exciting. I wanted to also say a little bit of something about left and right brain, because we tend to take the art people like me and say, well, you know, the guys are a little different, some of them are a little wacky, you know, put t-shirts on top of their head and stuff like that. The fact of the matter is, great flashes of inspiration come from when we can use both our left brain and our right brain. You know, the left brain is the side that's linear and analytical, a little dispassionate, really good at kind of managing detail. The right brain is the intuitive, visceral side that, and also the more visual side. And what happens is when you get a strong left brain and a strong right brain, either in an individual or in a team of people, you want lots of good, strong left brainers and some strong right brainers, because those are where the great flashes of inspiration come from. When we can link both sides of our minds, the analytical and the intuitive, the scientific or the mathematic, and the sense of what it means to be a human being and how creativity is part of what shapes the whole human experience going forward. When those things come together, that's when you get a Steve Jobs. So this ArtsMania Day that you guys have in front of you is something to really be savored. Because it turns out that, Earth without arts, in fact, would be just it. You know, it's a great celebration. I just want to close by saying the other thing that's great about this whole conversation about art and culture and you and the whole learning process is, I think, because art is where you find the true celebration of the pursuit of human excellence, it's also the place where we can have the most fun. I love to laugh. A lot of artists, in fact, artists, musicians, we all take ourselves awfully seriously. Have you ever noticed that there really aren't any good art jokes? Anybody know good art jokes? Because I'm looking for them all the time. Nobody knows any. No. There's only one I ever heard. It's kind of arcane. You guys know about performance artists? you know, the people that kind of do that really kind of strange, you know, it's like a little bit of theater sometimes. It's a time-based way of having artists try to interact with the public. All right, so that here's the only art joke I know, which I used to close, and sometimes I used to open this when I'm talking to a Rotary Club. What do you get when you cross a performance artist with a mafia boss? The answer is an offer you can't understand. Have a great day, everybody.